just a little after 5:30 in the morning, and we are just starting off on the trailhead to Mount St. Helens. Just signed us in on the trail registry. We should have 2 first easy miles, easy-ish. We go up about 1,000 feet in 2 miles, right through the forest here. We could see the mountain or the volcano as we were driving up, which was really cool. A little intimidating, but still really cool. The road was pretty bumpy. We got you here just fine, and there are a lot of cars in the parking lot already, so a lot of people milling around already in the parking lot. But it should be 2 miles looking like this through the forest, and then we'll hit the boulder field. All right, so got through the 2 miles and change in the forest, and now we're starting the rock climb. As you can probably see, it is, I don't know if you can see just how steep it is, but it is really steep. It is pretty cool out, which is nice. There was a sign saying you needed your permit past this point, but naturally there's no one checking it, so much for all that worrying about permits. You can see there's already some people up on the rocks. There's some posts sticking out of them. That is roughly kind of the path we're supposed to follow. Looks like this way. Going through the forest wasn't bad. It's like 1,000 feet. Did get steeper at the end, but wasn't too bad. And now the real fun begins. We're technically halfway by distance, but not by time. So we're gonna start these rocks. Down there's where we started. We've been climbing for a bit. You can see how steep it is from up here. Dad making his way up. Look out there. I don't know how well you can see it. I think that's Mount Hood. Over there, I believe that's Mount Adams. Somewhere up here is Mount St. Helens. It is beautiful. You can see, I think pretty well with this camera, just how steep. So if I keep it straight, camera looking straight ahead, you can see just how steep it is. I gotta angle it up for you to really see. All this stuff is loose volcanic boulders, covered in ash. It's all loads of ash everywhere, which you do nothing but slide around in. It is awesome up here. I'm going up the rocks, see if you can get like even a little bit of a sense of what this is like. It is 45-degree angle going up, covered in loose boulders, and in between all of it is just ash. And the boulders are actually kind of having fun with the boulders. The ash, not so much. You slide backwards with every step. And this isn't even the ash field. We're kind of, the trail is naturally is not much marks, but there's these posts that we are kind of loosely following on the way up. I don't know if you can see now into the distance there, but I think that is the rim up there. Gonna get up this ridge here. Can see, we're getting closer to it now, but for a while we could see the destination. See the edge of the rim. Here's Dad's coming up. Some scientific instruments we passed too. This is the most try to not slide down this ash. It's all loose. It's the most heavily monitored volcano in the world. So it's covered in, I don't know, seismometers and probably things checking elevation and gases and all that stuff. But we've definitely seen a bunch of that, which is pretty cool. We're probably not quite 3 miles in. We haven't even been in the boulders for a mile yet. There should be about 2 miles of this stuff. Up on here, we got to get up to that ridge now. Looking out where we are now, we're about halfway through the boulder field, but it is 8:32 a.m. So in March of 1980, Mount St. Helens, which is still an active volcano, started rumbling to life, and they knew it had at least a decent chance, if not likely chance, of erupting. So they started monitoring it, and they actually created an exclusion zone around it that you could only be inside this exclusion zone, the danger zone, essentially, if you were a researcher, scientist, monitoring the mountain. It started developing a bulge on the side of it as magma pushed up inside of it. And we weren't sure what was going to happen, but the ice and snow glaciers, whatever they were on top of the mountain, we're still seeing snow today. It's August 2nd, so there's a lot of snow up here in the spring. Started melting because of the heat from the magma rising up, seeping into the rock, which the scientists didn't realize at the time, and it started destabilizing the rock. So at 8:32 a.m. on May 18th, 1980, an earthquake struck the mountain, which at that point there were earthquakes all the time with the mountain waking up. But because of all that destabilization, one whole side of the mountain gave way and slid. And to this day, this is still the largest recorded landslide of all time. And it acted basically like pulling a cork out of a champagne bottle, and the mountain blew, erupted, and triggered the eruption. Because of the landslide, though, it ripped it sideways. So the mountain exploded sideways rather than upwards, as you would normally think of a volcanic eruption. Because of that, the devastating effects of the mountain, the eruption, went a lot further than expected, at least in that direction. So 57 people would die in the eruption, unfortunately, and the vast majority of them would be outside the exclusion zone because of where the mountain exploded or how it exploded. So all these boulders and everything we're seeing, we're actually coming up the side of the mountain that didn't fall away, but we're going to look down into it. Most of these boulders and ash, this is all from 1980, and that happened at 8:32 a.m. May 18th, 1980. Alright, so give an update here. We're at about 3,000 feet of climbing, about 1,500 more to go. You can probably see it's a steep 1,500, it's not an easy 15. Creeping up on 3.5 miles. At this point, Dad's decided he's had enough, so he's actually going to take a break and then turn around, and I'm going to catch him on the way back. But he did really well to make it this far. This is really, really hard. Every step is up. Every step's in ash or rocks. There have been dozens and dozens of times where you're literally hauling yourself up by your hands. So it is adventurous out here. I got about 1,500 more feet to go. Another mile or so to go. So I'm gonna just kind of get there. Feeling really good, feeling really strong, so no worries at all at the moment. Doing great on water, all of that stuff. I think you can see it's another one of these, whatever, so another volcanic instrument. And you could definitely see the summit now. You could probably also see that going to be running out of the rocks soon. It'll be entering the ash field, which is, after doing these rocks, which have been really tough, everyone says the ash field is way harder. So get that to look forward to. Like I said, feeling really good. Legs, lungs, everything doing great. This hike is actually easier because of 1980. Because all these boulders here all used to be the top of the mountain. When it blew about 1,500 feet of itself off. So it's about 1,500 feet shorter than it would have been pre-1980. All right, we got to the end of the boulders. Stopped there, had a protein bar, switched out into my poles. I've got my baskets on, hoping it would help me in this ash field. It's helping, it's still really slippery. Hit the end of the boulders at 3 3/4 miles. It was about 3,400 feet of climbing I had done. So we're looking at about a mile to go. Down to only about 1,000 feet to go. You can see it is straight up. All this stuff is loose rock, gravel, ash. Looking ahead, I actually think it gets worse. It's almost like a transition spot. So there's ash and some gravel. I think when I get up there a little further, it will be nothing but ash. And you just slide backwards with every step. So I'm working really hard to get up this stuff. The poles help, but even they're sliding everywhere. Super alien up here. Yeah, so about 1,000 feet till the probably a little less than that to the rim. After that, I got about another 1/4 mile and more climbing till if I want to hit true summit. And you know that I do. But once we get up to the rim, we'll take a break before doing that quick little summit push. All right. It is hard to describe just how miserable this is. It is awful climbing up this ash and loose stuff. I'd give anything for a boulder field. It is as hard as people say. So slippery, it goes on forever. But I do think that's the rim, so I'm getting close. I don't know if you hear that buzzing. It's like, I don't know what the hell they are, like bumblebees or something. And they're very interested in me, despite the fact that I don't think we've seen a flower in about 1,500 feet, so I don't know what they're doing up here. But they're annoying me. But it is really, really unpleasant climbing, really difficult. Never quite done anything like it. It is wearing me out a little bit. Still feeling good, but it really makes you work for it. But I see people standing around up there now, which makes me think that must be the rim. And it doesn't look too far away. We've got one last big push, it looks like, here, coming up in a moment. So hopefully next time I see you, you'll be at the top. We made it. It's the crater of Mount St. Helens. See how far it came. I believe that's Rainier out in the distance. This is the crater rim. I'm going to break here and enjoy it. See what's getting up here. Spirit Lake, the famous Spirit Lake. And then we're going to hit the true summit, which is actually not too far, a couple hundred feet more to go. So here you can really see the side of the mountain, just almost like a giant ice cream scoop came through when the landslide hit and ripped open the mountain. And then the crater basically all the triggered the eruption. So all that stuff down there is all the deposits from the landslide and the eruption in 1980. Some of it's over 1,000 feet thick. All right, we stopped at the rim. Well, now we're walking along the rim. And over there is True Summit. It's less than half a mile. We are going to gain some. It's actually not much higher than where we are, but we have to go down to go back up it. Did you know there's a sketchy part up ahead that they warn you about? The footing's pretty loose, and these guys just passed some hikers who warned me about it. So we're going to take our time. I see a few people up there. It is really incredible. It is Martian up here. There's Adams up, and if you can hear it, it's a rock slide, it's a landslide going on right now. Yep. I don't know how well the zoom is on this or if you could see it, but right across from me on the other side of the mountain there's a rock slide going on right now. I can hear the roar of it. The mountain is absolutely still active. It's not imminently in danger of erupting, but it's still a very active zone. Lots of little earthquakes all the time, landslides. There's the observatory here nearby. It's a well-known spot. If you've ever seen a picture of Mount St. Helens, it was taken probably at that observatory. And it's closed for the entire year because a landslide came in and wiped out the access road and bridge to get to it. Otherwise, definitely would have probably gone and checked that out tomorrow. But can't get there. Going down a little bit here. The angle this down. The bulge in the middle is the new lava dome forming. It's the new lava pushing up. It had a little bit of a spurt, I think back in the 90s, where it was growing up a bit. And that will eventually build up, fill in the enormous crater left behind by 1980, so that it'll look like it once did. Of course, it's going to take thousands of years for that to happen. But it's really cool to see geology in motion here. I'm going to turn this off and see you at the summit. Alright, here we are, true summit. Mount St. Helens. Hope you can really get an idea of just how vast the crater is. It is enormous. Over there, looks like another rock slide maybe. That's kind of so close to where the group of people were once you come up the crater. Yeah, some of the other Cascade Mountains. You can see lots of dust getting kicked up. It's from landslides and rockfalls that are just happening all around. I'm not alone up here though. There are flies and wasps, and actually when I first got up here, it flew away. There was a giant crow, of all things. You can see just how high up we are here. I haven't checked, but we're over 4,500 feet climbing at this point. But we're done climbing. There's another rockfall down in the crater. Could even be steam. There's a lot of snow still down there. In the distance, Rainier. It is really incredible. Realizing I'm not actually in any of these videos, so it could be like I'm doing a voiceover here. But look, I was really here. Behind me is the crater. True summit right there. It's hard for me to see on this little screen, but out there is Rainier. You could also see Mount Adams and Mount Hood, two more of the big Cascade volcanoes in the region. They have not erupted recent times, so they're quite a bit taller because they haven't blown 1,500 feet off of themselves. There's a crater, Mount St. Helens. Made it! You can see really good angle here, the cornice. See the snow and kind of how it builds a shelf and then is coming down. It's actually super, super dangerous. A lot of the people who have hiked up here and unfortunately ran into an accident and didn't make it, a lot of them, or most of them, is because they went out on the cornice. And that stuff is really unstable, especially now. It's August. It looks like it's, you know, a big chunk of solid ice. But at any point that stuff can, and it's going to slide at some point this season. And you don't want to be on it when it does, because it's a unforgiving drop. But this is a really good angle of the cornice, which is really, really very, very dangerous, and not something you ever want to mess around with. Finding that I'm actually having a really hard time leaving now that I got up here. I've been wanting to come up here forever. Been reading and learning about St. Helens since I was a very young child. Had all kinds of books and movies and videos, documentaries, and it's kind of really wild to be up here and see all the things I've read about, from the crater to Spirit Lake, Rainier, Johnston Ridge, Tuttle Rivers over there. It's just I'm kind of having a bit of a surreal moment that I'm up here right now. And I'm finding it hard to turn around and leave. Not only that, but it was really hard to get up here. So I'm not really in a huge rush to leave, but I'm definitely finding it hard to pull myself away from the scene here. And just the history of it and the uniqueness of it. Pretty amazing. All right, we've been hanging out back at the crater where we first came up, but it is time to go. So say one last goodbye, Mount St. Helens. It was incredible. Oh, you can definitely see steam coming up now from the lava dome. And our future, now 4,500 feet of down. Probably thinking 2.5 to 3 hours. See you at the bottom. Look at this on the way down. One lonely mountain goat. Right down there. Not sure what it's eating. Super cool.